if you want to open the comments, just go to Myargonauts on a different browser or something, and the video will be live in about 30 seconds, and then you can see the comments too.
Let's see if it'll let me do that.
Yeah. All right, we have one person watching already.
Wow.
I know. Look at that. One whole person. Well, we assume he's a whole person.
Well, you know, there's three. There's you and me and this person, right? So
That's right. And now we have another one. Super Seinin. Hello. Good evening. Konbanwa. Robert in Canada. Hello. Thank you for joining us. As other people come in the room, welcome. Hello to everyone out there watching this later, recorded, which is what most people do. They don't get to join us here at 10 p.m. Japan time for the live show. But welcome. I have a special guest this week. And hopefully, let's see, if I don't want to always just see me. Let's see if I can make PJ, say something. So
hello? Testing, 1, 3, 4.
I want to make sure it's rotating back and forth. When you talk, it should be you in the big picture, and when I talk, it's me in the big picture.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's not just always my ugly mug.
Now they have a choice of 2 ugly mugs.
We got David in the house. We got Huggers in the house. G'day. Huggers is a regular viewer from Australia.
The name is familiar.
Have you ever been to Australia, PJ?
No, I have not. I'm terrified of flying, so I only fly.
Oh, really?
Yes, terrified.
I didn't know that. Didn't you recently go to China to see skating?
Sure. You know. Yeah, but I mean, I live in Japan, and as we both know, you know, I didn't get here on the boat. So yeah, I fly, but if it's not necessary, strictly speaking, for figure skating or whiskey or family, I don't do it.
Okay, fair enough. My sister's the same way. She's never visited me here. She can't contemplate being 10 hours in a plane.
It's a long plane. It's a long ride.
It is. It is. I don't enjoy it myself just because I'm a big guy. But I do it almost every summer now, it seems like. Okay, well, let's get into it. For those of you who don't know PJ, he is probably one of the few J-vloggers who was doing it before me. You started vlogging, I mean, back in like 2006?
I don't know exactly when, but yeah, it was way back then. Yeah, it's very possible.
And but we're about the same age, I think. We're both in our 40s. And we've been teaching. We've both been jets. Yep. You did jet before I did, and then now we're both teaching at universities.
Yep.
And but I'm gonna have to call you doctor soon. Is that right?
Not soon. Are we kidding? I'm doing qualitative research. It'll take years.
Oh, okay. So PJ has a much bigger brain than I do, and he's got all kinds of fun degrees.
It's because I have no hair, so my brain is a little bit bigger.
That's right, a little bit bigger. And but you live in the Osaka area, so I'm a little envious of that. You have access to lots of restaurants and movie theaters and shopping and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yes, we live in different countries.
We do, we really do. Now, when you were a jet, were you in somewhere more rural?
I was in Himeji, and then the last year they moved me to Takasago, which is a suburb of Himeji. So it's out of Osaka, but it's still a big city. What?
In Hyogo, Ken?
Yeah, in Hyogo. So I was still only an hour away from Osaka. And Himeji itself, what, 500, 600,000 people. So it's a little bit. For me, it's Inaka. For you, it would probably be a nice change of pace.
Well, I just gave my students, it was in the paper recently, I clipped out the story about my neighboring prefecture, Totori-ken, getting the last Starbucks in Japan. They were the last prefecture to get a Starbucks. Did you see it? And the line was like 1,000 people on the first day.
Oh, God.
They make these like commemorative tumblers that say like Totori, and you can only get it like the first day or the first week or something.
I don't think people even go to Starbucks anymore in Osaka. I mean, sure we do, but nobody's proud of it.
Right.
We've moved on to other things.
We still don't have one where I live, of course, but there are a few in Shimane now. So we've joined the 21st century, at least in coffee terms. But okay, so one of the things that I got into when I came to Japan was sumo,
Yes.
which is about to start again. And one of the things you got into, and tell me, I don't know if this is a recent thing, like the past year, or it's been an ongoing, is supporting the Japan's ice skaters.
Yes. It's been about 2 years, roughly, I don't know, 6 months before the Olympics, I started getting interested. And ever since then, as you know, we need our obsessions, we need our hobbies. It kind of keeps us sane.
Right.
Well, arguably, it's too late for me, but that's the idea.
And so you've done more than, I mean, well, I guess I travel and go to see live sumo and give them my money. You've traveled and gone to some live events here in Japan and even outside the country.
Yes, China twice. I'll go to Boston in March.
Oh, wow.
And right now is the off season, so I travel on weekends because there's usually there's a show, an exhibition or a show one time or another almost every weekend for the next couple months.
Right. Okay, so now there was somewhat big news about a month ago that Asada Mao has decided to return to competition. Have you seen her at anything? Has she shown her?
Yes, she has her own show called The Ice, and I saw it last year, and I'll see it again this year in 3 weeks. The Ice Osaka, and then a week after that, or 2 weeks after that, The Ice Sendai. So each of these shows are kind of fantasy on ice, dreams on ice, the ice, you see the theme, and they travel from city to city. So I try to, one thing I've done this year is I've gone to all 4 cities of fantasy on ice. So the first one was in Tokyo, then, where is it, Shizuoka, or more particularly Hamamatsu, then Kanazawa, and then this weekend, just yesterday, Kobe. Oh,
you were in Kobe just yesterday for ice skating?
Yes, and today I went back to stalk the skaters at their hotel. Just kidding, I'm not stalking, but to see them. And I got a chance to spend time with Busan Kevin, our mutual friend.
Yes, Kevin has the excellent podcast that you and I have both been privileged to be guests on.
Yes, and he said to say hello.
All righty. He's in the audience. Hello there, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. Then I hope I said nice things.
So I had an interesting kind of thread with Kevin on Facebook. We both have pages sort of dedicated to our YouTube personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I just asked him out of the blue because he's one of the few parents I know. Like you don't have kids, I don't have kids. I have a fair amount of friends though in America and other places that have small children, and some of them choose to post photos on Facebook. Some of them choose not to. Victor, give me a break, man.
Yes, of course,
he has posted a lot of pictures of his new child.
Videos too. Yeah.
They've never said his name, but that so they are they've got privacy lines. Whereas Hiko Simon, whose show is on after mine, has never posted a photo, I don't think, of his child.
No.
So it's interesting, and so I just asked, Kevin. I said, "Do you think we've reached a new norm, where how much like you and I both grew up in the '70s? I mean, my dad whipped out the camera every now and then and took pictures of me doing stuff when I was 6 years old and 5 years old, and first day of school and first soccer game and this and that, and relatives come over, picture with grandma or whatever. But I mean, nothing like kids nowadays where you've got this huge powerful HD camera in your pocket.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, do you think kids now are overexposed, over archived, over photographed?
Well, what is it? Sorry, I'm still teaching the Batman class, so that's in my mind, but that whole quote about Catwoman saying that everything you've ever done any 6-year-old child with a cell phone can access, I really think that we haven't really caught. I think in the next 20 years we'll catch the repercussions of this. But from sexting to more banal or safe things, there's still a lot out there. And I do worry about these kids because they're going to grow up in a time where there is no reinvention. They cannot remake themselves because everything they've ever done, whether You know, whether Snapchat, even Snapchat things are permanent. People think they're not, but they are.
Yeah, yeah.
So everything's out there, and I wonder what. I mean, right now we haven't really seen repercussions to that.
Right.
At least not, you know, societally, but I think we will.
Yeah.
I know my brother. I have two nieces now, and he says I can go ahead and post pictures, but I don't say the name, and I've scrubbed the location data from the photos that we put up.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, everyone has their own particular kind of precautions in mind.
Right, right, yeah. Yeah, it's just it is a very different world that, you know, even kids now, because I meet the new Jets often, and they're literally half my age now, because I'm going to be 46 on Monday, and
happy birthday, by the way, or I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. No. And you know, the Jets coming over like 22, 23, so they're literally half my age, and you know, they just grew up in an entirely different atmosphere, and you know, I mean, I remember getting my first VCR, and I remember getting, you know, when there was no cell phones, and you know, all this kind of stuff, and it's so different now. But you know, somebody 20 years ago could have said that about the same thing about 20 years before that. So I guess it all rotates around. Now,
it does. I think you're right. I don't think we've considered. I don't know. How do I say that? In terms of the level of exposure, I don't think we've considered what that means. I'm not even saying I would. I mean, I don't have, like you said, I don't have kids. But if I did, I would. I don't know what I would do, because I don't think there is a right position. It's just. It's hard to navigate, because they're going to take over and they're going to see this, and maybe they get to a point where there's no privacy whatsoever and people are just cool with that. Yeah. I don't know, but we're not there yet. What about that gap in between, that generation, the kids that are just coming of teenagehood now? I think they're going to be caught in the middle.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know.
Toughie.
So it's interesting. You and I are both pretty devoted Apple people, and the Apple Watch. I haven't. You know, there's no Apple store anywhere near where I live. I haven't seen one. I'm assuming maybe you have in real life. Did you buy one?
Not yet. You know me, I can only afford so many obsessions at one time, and as much as I am into the Apple camp, and I always will be, that got bumped for Whisky and figure skating, and also I just think that I'm waiting for the second gen to come out.
Right.
You know, as much as I used to be an early adopter, I found, you know, this is a 5.
Yeah, mine's a 5S.
And I've got to say, as much as, you know, once you lose the ego of losing your early adopter status, that hurts a bit. But then you realize you get half the problems everyone else does. So yeah, I don't mind. You know, they say that there'll be an update sometime in the fall. Right. I also need to get I'm waiting for the 6S, and I'm having a problem because this old 5 is crapping out.
Oh.
But I don't want to go into the store tomorrow and get a 6 when the 6S is supposed to come out in August-ish.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to make this last.
That's what I'm holding out for. My contract on this one is up in December. So I'm hoping that the 6S will come out right around, like you said, August, and I can just do the switch over and trade this in and do that whole thing. SoftBank's been pretty good to me. Are you a SoftBank?
I am, but I'm leaving them. Like a fickle woman. Oh, sorry, that sounds very sexist. Like a fickle person. No, I've been SoftBank since the creation of the company, but it's just the quality is not as good in Osaka as AU.
I've heard that.
And I'm just tired of the company giving me the runaround. They're not very helpful.
Okay.
I don't really think AU's any better, but they're going to pay me to switch in a way, you know, those kind of campaigns. So I'll switch now that I can keep my number, because I've had my number since 1998, and I'd like to keep it.
That's awesome. So you've been in Japan how long? Tell the people.
It's kind of a secret.
Oh, okay.
No, I came in 92 and left in 95, and then I came back in 98 or 99. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look. Either end of 98 or beginning of 99, and I've been here ever since. So 15 plus years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm basically, I took the year off between Jet and my current university job, but I'm just coming to the realization that I've lived in this apartment and worked at this job for 5 years after, you know, final exams happen in a month. And so that's the exact, you know, that was my limit on Jet, right? I did 5 years of Jet and then they kick you out, right? So this job isn't going to kick me out. So it's kind of like, well, I can keep going. I'm kind of thinking, it's funny, I have a line on a job in Kobe, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, you should come up to Kobe, sir.
Yeah, which I you know, don't say anything on camera, but I emailed you and Kevin about that one place, and I found out some things about that place. It's like, well, I shouldn't say right now, but anyway, I'm going to apply. The application deadline is the 18th. So it would be so much fun to live in Kobe, and
if I can suggest, because I read your Facebook, your depressive Facebook tweet today or yesterday, and may I suggest before you make the extreme plan of moving back, trying to move here for a year. If it doesn't work, then you just go back anyway.
Yeah.
But you've had so much of your experience in the in the countryside.
Yeah.
And you need a change. We all do from time to time. But there is that middle ground between. Because if you go back to the States and then you find you don't like it, it's going to get harder to get back here or somewhere else. But if you move up to Kobe or someplace like Tokyo, and then you decide to go back to the States, it's a much easier transition.
That's true. Yeah, no, I think that's the plan. And my boss, I even showed her the job listing, and she was like, well, you write your own letter of recommendation and I'll sign it. And unless it has to be in Japanese, and then I'll write it. And I said, okay, thank you very much. And so she knows, I mean, she knows that, you know, it's a long time, and, you know, I'm not on track to be a full professor or anything, so there's no huge reason for me to stay. And, you know, look, let's face it, I want some Brazilian beef. That's the only reason I'm moving to Kobe.
You know, I looked. I was in the Skater Hotel tonight. At the top, there's a bar, and it overlooks the beef restaurant across the harbor. And I saw it, and I thought about you, and I thought, you know, we haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah, we got to go back sometime soon, because that's good stuff. And I had my only true Kobe beef was with PJ here. We went out one Christmas holiday many moons ago. I think about in 2010 maybe, and I think it was with my brother. And you led us down some dark alleys, and we went to this place, and it was very, very good beef.
Yeah.
It was expensive, but it was well worth it. It was delicious.
And that was a cheap place. I mean, I tell you, that's
yeah. I mean, I don't drink, so I got out of there for about $130, about a mon, 3,000 yen. You know, I mean, I'm still making the dollar to the 100 yen conversion, even though that's way gone now.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. So I wish it were now.
Yeah. So you're talking about skating, and then you keep interjecting with whiskey. So what have you done? You enjoy a nice drop of whiskey. What have you done? I enjoy a
nice drop of anything, but yeah, I would have to say, yeah, whiskey and craft beer are my passions next to skating. You know, I don't really do like on YouTube or anything. I don't take it as far as I do skating, just simply because there are so many people out there that already do the whiskey thing, but I enjoy. I must say, I spend almost an alarming amount of my salary on libations such as whiskey and craft beer and such. Craft beer is really taking off in Osaka now. So in my neighborhood alone, there's got to be 4 or 5 different craft bars. And I like it.
I'm reading the comments, sorry to interject, and feel free, comment people, to leave questions for PJ or myself.
I can't see them, so you're going to have to just interject whenever you're ready.
So Huggers just said, Brazilian beef, is that a euphemism? And no, it's not. It's a great restaurant where they have a stick and it has like a roast on it, and they slice it off the thing, and it's just
pork and lamb, and they've got chicken, and they've got everything. But the beef is really where, because of Brazil, so everyone thinks of beef. It's good.
Kevin could tell us. Some people are saying, in the comments, that you're awesome and they want to have a beer with you. You used to do a show where you would review beer. Are those still up on Kevin's channel? Do you know?
I don't know. I have a couple up that we did on my channel, and then we had a combined channel that we made.
That's right.
Channel, and that's defunct. In part because he's an elementary school teacher now. He's got to be a little bit more careful, and simply because we kind of ran out of steam. You know how it is. You get burned out, and like you guys, you're doing this now. You're changing it a little, and it makes it interesting again. You got to change it up.
I mean, you can only make videos about wow, look at squat toilets or something, so many times.
Although some people have been doing that for years.
I don't have a female partner. It seems like the big channels nowadays are couples.
Yes.
Rachel and June and these types of people.
I haven't seen a lot of their work, but I've seen some of it. And it's good, but yeah, that's the trend now, the international kind of thing.
Now you are into something, and I don't know if you still have time to do it. You're a busy guy, but you're into this. Is it called geocaching?
Yes.
Are you still doing that?
Yes, I still do it. In fact, I try to combine it now because when I go on these trips, like when I was in Kanazawa,
right,
for figure skating, I'll watch the show, then I'll go out and geocache for a couple of hours, and then I'll make a video about either one or the other or both. So I'm trying to kind of combine these things. I mean, I'm not as passionate about it, but it's hard. I've gotten more than 500 geocaches, and I've pretty much cleared everything that's adjacent to my work places. So now it's only when I travel that I can kind of get the low-hanging fruit.
So I'm a little ignorant of Japanese geography. Where is Kanazawa?
Kanazawa, you're not the only one. I mean, I've been there 3 times, and I still only recently learned where it actually is. It's on the west coast of Honshu, across the mountains from Nagano. So that basically it's on the other side where Tokyo is.
Okay.
I think it's closer to Nagoya, but it's on the other side. It's on the west coast, facing Asia. It's Inaka City, very much like that. Very rural. People very excited. They think my Japanese is very good. You don't hear that in Osaka anymore, but I like traveling.
Why do you think the skating chose to do Sendai is relatively close to Tokyo. I know they're both huge metropolitan areas, but why do you think they don't come to, say, Kyushu or Fukuoka or Hiroshima and give us down here a chance?
They do. Beppu had a show last year.
Okay.
And I went to that. I guess the argument is they needed to spread out a bit more, and they do try. For example, the Fantasy on Ice, only 2 were in major metropolitan areas. The first one was in Makuhari, which is Chiba, and the last one was Kobe. But the 2 middle ones, Hamamatsu in Shizuoka is a small city, and Kanazawa is a really small city. And those tend to vary year to year. So next year it might not be Kanazawa, it could be, it was Toyama last year. So they do, I don't think they get too far south because at least a third of the skaters are from overseas, Europe and Russia, and I think it's just easier for them to come either into the Kanto or the Kansai, you know what I mean, and do the shows and get in and get out.
Okay.
And that's one of the issues, I think.
Who are some of the other world famous people you saw that aren't Japanese?
So many. Sorry, geek talk there. My favorites would be the one of my favorites would be the Canadian pairs team, Eric Radford and Megan Duhamel. I always mispronounce her name. They are world champions and gold medal champions, and they were in the show today, this weekend and last weekend. They weren't in the first 2. The foreign guests tend to come and go during the run. But I mean, it's just really good. The thing I like about shows that you don't see in competition, that there are less rules. There are almost no rules. So the costume choices are a little bit more interesting. The moves are a little bit more daring. The rinks tend to be smaller, so it's much more of a challenge for them to fit their routines in. And they just, because there's no pressure of judging, it's, to me, a much more enjoyable show than you would get during competition.
Yeah, I'm sure they're having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Who else? I'm sorry, but you said, who else? Johnny Weir, the American Johnny Weir was there. European Stefan Lambier was there. A bunch of Russians, including Plashenko. Plashenko was there, yeah. Plashenko is loved in this country, so he comes to as many shows as he possibly can. I think they make a lot of money this way.
Have you heard about, I mean, perhaps one of the most famous skaters of the past 5 years or so, but I don't know if she would come and do a show in Japan, and that's Kim Yuna. Does she skate now?
No, she's given it up completely. She doesn't even do shows. Last year she did a couple of off-season shows. After she retired, she did it in Korea, and I believe she did one somewhere in Asia. But she's now said she's not doing any more skating at all. She's not what they call it turning pro. There's no real pro leagues anymore, but they mean doing these off-season shows.
Right.
As far as I know, she's given that up completely. She wants to be a coach and a choreographer, so she's taking training university classes for physiology and choreography, and she's still doing a lot with the Olympic Committee. But yeah, as far as I know, she's going to stay off the ice.
Because the Winter Olympics are in Korea, aren't they?
Pyeongchang in 2018.
2018, that's right. Yeah.
And I'm going to be there one way or the other. Assuming I'm not dead, you know.
So one of the questions from the comment section is, let me just see if I can. So he's asking about other companies other than Jet. It's been a long time since you were a Jet. It's starting to be a long time since I was a Jet.
Yeah.
But Jet's number one for sure. I think most people would recognize that.
I don't know if it's number one. I think it's the number one safe choice if you're coming over.
Okay.
A lot of people do the Eikaiwa, the conversation schools.
Right.
Those are so hit or miss. You can get a great one or you can get a crappy one.
That's very true.
Jet, you know it's a relatively reputable program. You know you're going to be treated decently, mostly. I mean, you know.
Right.
So I think that would be, if I were going to tell anyone to come to the country, definitely Jet would be the way to come over. If you're young.
Yeah. And I mean, most of the people, I mean, Interac, I don't know if you know anyone that's worked for them. Most of the people that I've met that work for them are fine with it. I mean, it's kind of like if you don't know any better, you know, it's like you're presented with this salary and this type of living arrangement and these kinds of days off, and that's what you get used to, and so that's your life with Interac. And it's not until you really sit down and compare it with what Jets get that you might think, oh, well, that's not quite as good. But it's still a chance to come to Japan, a chance to do a very easy job for a decent salary. And so, yeah, I would say either one is fine. But if you can do Jet, try to do that, you know.
I would wholeheartedly concur. But especially if you're young and you don't have a lot of debt, then, like you said, there's kind of you just come over, get your feet wet, and if you don't like it, you can leave in a year.
Now, do you know of any jobs? This is another question from the comments. Like Osaka's a big city. I mean, there's a lot of people there. There's a lot more foreigners there. Jobs where you wouldn't necessarily need a BA or a degree to get employed.
No, you need them all. Legally, anyway, in order to get a visa, you need a 4-year degree.
Right.
Now, I do know people that are kind of like, if you're on a spouse visa, if you're married a Japanese citizen, then you can get work, or there's a lot of under the, off the table or under the books, whatever off the books or under the table work. But yeah, I mean, to get a visa, you need a 4-year degree. And
I always tell people, like there's one guy on Twitter I know who works at Disney Tokyo, and he's like, he's an entertainer. Well, he doesn't have to have a BA. He has a very specific job skill and was hired by a very specific company, but I think people still feel like they can just get on a plane and come here without a degree and they'll be able to find a job, and I really advise against it.
I agree.
I don't think you can really do it. But
frankly, you need a degree in your own home countries anymore. I mean, the university degree is a college, is the high school degree of 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But legally, you won't get work here unless, like you said, if you have a very specific skill, you're an artisan of some kind, but those people have their own hiring procedures. Someone can't break into the field. You can't suddenly just work at Universal Studios or Disney. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you know, maybe bartending or something, but then I would think you would need to know Japanese, and if you know Japanese, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Even that, that's not on the list of specialty skills, so I don't think you wouldn't be able to get a visa for that.
Yeah. It's tough, you know. You gotta put in a little work before you come here, but you know, it's a nice place to live. So you and I have done it for a long time, and I don't think we have many complaints.
We always have complaints, but we have complaints anywhere. So you're right.
Now, your university, you teach at more than one still, or just one?
3. I teach at 3. I'm joking. Technically, what's considered a part-time teacher. I mean, it's full-time because I teach 20 classes, but it's divided among 3 universities.
That's brutal, man.
It is, but when you're figure skating and whiskey, they're expensive.
We gotta get you a T-shirt that says like, "This is all for figure skating and whiskey" or something like that.
There you go.
Yeah, it's. I'm curious in Osaka how much it's changed. Are all 3 of your campuses non-smoking now?
No. I'm trying to think. None of them are fully non-smoking. 2 of the, well, one is almost non-smoking. It has 2 smoking spots on campus, and everything else is non-smoking. The other 2 have I'd say smaller smoking zones,
Okay.
but it's basically non-smoking.
Okay. Mine now has gone. You have to leave campus.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not supposed to smoke. So the kids sneak them, which is almost worse because then, you know, they'll sometimes just put the butts out on the ground instead of into the ashtray that would have been there. Or, you know, they go out to the parking lot and smoke in their cars, or, you know, out by
the National University. One of the places I work is the National Uni, and they're supposed to be that.
Right.
Completely non-smoking, but they still have 1 spot because I think originally they got rid of it, and like you said, too many people were smoking everywhere because they were hiding it.
Okay. Now today, no, not today. Yesterday in Japan on July 4th, which doesn't really mean anything here in Japan. Avengers 2 came out.
Yeah, you talked about that.
I think you and I went and saw Avengers 1 on a nice IMAX theater in Osaka many years ago. Did you go see Avengers 2 this weekend?
No, I haven't seen a movie in years.
You were out at Kobe. You were seeing skating. Okay. It's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. It's.
I didn't like the trailer. I didn't like the trailer.
Really?
Yeah, maybe that's not a fair judgment. I mean, I'll have to sit down and like it, but I mean, sit down and watch it before I can really, you know.
Now, are you doing mostly streaming nowadays, or are you doing Blu-ray? What are you watching in your house?
Well, I don't watch a lot of movies. I just don't have 3-hour blocks. When I do, it's for figure skating. I save it on the weekend. I'm literally tonight. I've got another 10 essays to grade. Because I should have done them on the weekend, and I was in Kanazawa.
Right.
You know, so it's not like I don't have the time. I literally, since these weekends are figure skating, and I'm teaching 20 classes and I'm doing research. Most of I have maybe 20 minutes of free time in a day if I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's okay. That's so different than me.
But I still watch TV dramas because they're more manageable.
Right.
20-minute segments or 40-minute segments. I can squeeze that in somewhere.
Yeah.
I use iTunes because I still have my American credit cards.
Yeah.
And I have a VPN, so I've just signed up for HBO now. So.
Oh wow. Yeah. Good. That's awesome, man. Are you watching True Detective?
I watched the first season, and I'm holding off until 3 or 4 more weeks when the semester ends. At my last school, and then because that's a dark one, and I need to be focused. It's not light brain, it's heavy, as you know, and so I'm gonna wait until I have a few days off to go through the season.
How about one that's not from HBO, but it's a fun one that's from I think Netflix. Orange is the New Black.
You know, I only saw 2 episodes. I just didn't get into it, and maybe, I never I've never enjoyed prison movies or prison dramas, or from Prison Break to what was that one, Oz, back in the day, the first really. I've just never been able to get. Maybe I have too much fear that someday I'll end up there. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to reserve judgment, because I think that's something eventually I need to sit down and give it a fair shot.
There really hasn't been anything in the sci-fi genre to rival your favorite show, Battlestar Galactica, since that went off the air.
That's true, but I am enjoying 2 sci-fi themed shows. Person of Interest, although they're about to be cut. Their final season is 13 episodes instead of the 20, so they have one more half season coming up to end up a very complicated story. 2 AIs operating in the internets. So that's been a really good show, and I love that show. It started out as a police procedural, and they kind of snuck the whole sci-fi kind of thing snuck up on you.
Okay, I'll give it another shot. I watched about half of the first season on DVD here from my rental shop, and kind of gave up. But maybe I'll try to go back to it.
And go back and from the beginning, because then once you realize what it is, you'll see the hints were there all along. It's not that they changed it, but they realize that you're not going to get sci-fi on mainstream TV, and you got to sneak it in. And they did. It's really well. Particularly the last couple seasons have been good. The other one I'm watching is The Last Ship, ABC's thing about, what do you call it, a pandemic, and it's one Navy ship. It's a little bit too red, white, and blue for me at times, but it's ironic. I really believe that the showrunners took Galactica, and I can see certain episodes lifted from space and put on the ship.
Now, being a huge Batman fan, did you watch Gotham?
I'm watching it. I stopped. I didn't watch the last 2 episodes of season 1 because I'm waiting to see what I hear about season 2 before I get into season 1. I don't want to finish it. I've liked it, but to me, Gotham harks back more to the comics than it did to Christopher Nolan's vision, which is my preferred vision. I mean, I like any Batman. Frankly, I like the old 60s, 70s TV show. I'll watch any of it. But in terms of, I mean, we talked about this, I think, a few months ago. I think the character of Bruce is far more derivative of the comics than it is the Nolan Batman, and that's fine. That's the beauty of Batman. No one owns it anymore, not really. There's so many different versions, but I just felt it was too much. It was kind of a rogues gallery, and let's look at all the bad guys. And I like Fish Mooney, and I like the development of the Penguin, but beyond that, I just thought.
I'll just say this for it: when you eventually do maybe have some time or you want to revisit it, the first season does end well.
Okay.
And it does set you up to be interested in what's going to happen in the second season.
Okay, I'm 2 episodes out, and I stopped. So I want to go back, since I've got it on iTunes, and rewatch from the first episode forward. I'm a binge watcher, and when I have the holidays come up, that's what I like to do.
That's cool. All right, we got some questions. Summertime is here. It's getting hot and humid in Japan. How do you guys cope with that summer heat?
Oh my God.
That was from Boots on Kevin, though.
Well, thank you for the what is it? The easy question, the softball.
Lobbing it in.
Yeah. What do you do? Well, keep talking. I gotta go get another drink.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So,
I'm listening.
I got the best thing I've done actually in the 5 years I've lived in this apartment is I got my air conditioner cleaned. And I inherited this apartment from the person who had my job before me, and they had a cat, and they had lived here about 2 years, and it was relatively clean. I'm not disparaging how they left it when I moved in, but about 2 years into living here, I really felt like, yeah, man, my air conditioning unit is just really not doing very well, and maybe I need a new one. It's old or whatever. And one of my coworkers, a Japanese person at work, just said, hey, clean it. You can do it yourself. It's really easy. Well, I absolutely abhor physical work. You know what I mean? But I'm not mechanical at all. And I mean, yeah, I could, you know, but it's in an awkward place, like behind my TV and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I was at like a department store and they had these flyers, like call this number, we'll come to your house and we'll clean your aircon for, you know, ended up costing me about $100 a mon.
Yeah.
And it was completely worth it. Like it was night and day difference. Like the power.
I remember you used to complain online and in text how hot you were, how miserable you were.
God,
I haven't heard anything since, so it must have worked.
So now I can open the doors you see behind me. That's my bedroom, and my air conditioner unit is over there, and it blows enough to where it can cool these 2 rooms. I don't have one in there. Sufficiently enough to where I'm cool. So I spend money. Some jets, or I shouldn't call myself a jet anymore, some Gaikokujin who live in Japan are, should we say, cheap.
Yeah.
And they don't like to spend. I don't mind my electricity bill, you know, going up.
I don't care. That's the problem. I don't have children. I'm going to die young. This is, I don't care what my bill is. If I'm comfortable, I'm happy.
That's kind of my philosophy too. So.
I don't know if you can see, there's my aircon over there. And I'm lucky. It's part of my apartment fee. So every year they come in. In fact, they just did it last week. And they regas it, re-clean it, do whatever they need to do.
That's nice.
And so it runs cold. My only complaint is, as you know, a lot of Japanese, even though they invented the thermostat controlled device, they don't use it anywhere. Have you noticed? You can program. I can put 18 in there or 28, and it runs until I turn it off. It has nothing to do with what that number is.
Yeah.
So I'll turn it on, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night freezing, and then I'll turn it off, and I'll wake up in the morning sweating.
Sweating, yeah. No, I know it's a battle here. And I do have a senpuki. I have an oscillating fan. I kind of use them sort of alternating. And yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. Is the thing that people don't realize here is the lack of central air. So, for instance, when it gets really warm, it's not been warm yet. I don't know what Osaka's been like, but here it's been relatively mild so far. But you'll walk out and, you know, you'll need to sit in your toilet for 10 minutes and do your stuff. And you'll sweat while you're in your toilet because it's 30 degrees, you know, in your genkan and bathroom area, and it's 20 degrees in the air-conditioned, you know, room. And
I hate this is an embarrassing thing to say, but if I'm going to be using extensive services in the bathroom,
yeah,
I feel it percolating, I'll go in the heat of summer, August, September, turn on the water in the shower cold, let it run for a minute before I take a shit. Oops. Because it cools it down. Because you're right, you sweat in the toilet.
Yeah, I mean and what you don't like at my work, okay, I have an office that now has an air conditioner in the media center, and that's beautiful, and I can be in there and have it as cold as I like. I'm the only one that works in there, and I control it, so I don't have to worry about whiny Japanese people who are too cold. And then I have to walk through the media center over to the toilets. Well, there's public toilets, so where, you know, you'd have to go in and students would be in there, and then, or I can go into the administrative, you know, like the back area where there's toilets for the staff. But that whole hallway and the toilets themselves are not air conditioned. So it's like you walk out of, you know, the room and into this hallway, and it's literally night and day. And then you'll go and sit, you know, and you've got your nice business casual clothes on or whatever. And it's just torture. I don't understand how Japanese
up when I change.
Yeah, I don't understand how Japanese people put up with it and are not like rebellious about it.
Well, they're not rebellious about much. I mean, let's be honest here. It's a system designed so that you'll spend money on air cons, on fans, on no, because it isn't efficient. And by now, everyone in the world, from Korea all the way over to when America knows something, and Americans rarely knows anything, when they know that central heating is better for the environment, cheaper, and more efficient, the only reason why they don't do it here is, I really believe, it's the industry.
Yeah.
Too much money is connected to all of this stuff.
Do you know Michael Essex?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, he says hello. He says he saw you at KansaiPJ is at Temple University a few months ago. Maybe did you do a speaking?
No, there were classes, a seminar. Me, they don't listen to me, but the name is vaguely familiar, but I can't place it. Oh, yes, I do know him. Oh, he's in the master's program, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, I'm sorry, I do know him. Sorry, Michael, sorry. You know.
He says hello.
Okay,
hello. His wife, I know them because they used to live in Matsue, in the capital city of Shimane, and now they live somewhere else. And Padawan Kim is his wife. That's her handle on YouTube.
Yeah, and I recognize that handle.
She says their apartment doesn't have AC.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Kim, that is going to be brutal in a few months. I don't know what you're thinking.
That's insane.
Yeah, that is. She says they saw you at a library event, PJ.
I don't remember that. I know. I remember talking to Michael. We've talked a couple times about, because he came up to me, and we talked a little bit about YouTube and stuff. And you know, so I do remember him. It just takes a while. That's one of the things as a part-time teacher. I have 500 new students every semester. So if you're not really hot, I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sure you're hot. Sorry, I don't mean to say you're not. But I mean. My point being is I dump a lot, my memory dump every few weeks. I just, you know, it's like random access memory. You got to erase it. But I do remember talking to him at Temple in the Daiyombiru. So I do, and I do remember his wife's, what do you call it, handle from YouTube. Padawan, yeah.
Yeah, she's excited about the new Star Wars movie this December, as am I.
As am I. Wow, we rarely completely agree, but I think the trailer was so amazing. It was bringing back the old, but yet still very new. I'm excited, yes.
Okay, so you're going to go to the movies to see that?
Yes, I do. I don't care how busy I am. Avengers, I'm not a big superhero guy because other than Iron Man, the others are too happy and bouncy for me. I like the darker superhero, but when it comes to Star Wars, like you, I grew up on that stuff, and yeah, although I wasn't much of a critic, I didn't mind the last three. I mean, I knew they weren't, what do you call it, brilliant, but I didn't mind them.
I was talking to Mully on the show maybe 2 shows ago, and he's around our age too, and he's not a Star Wars fan. It's interesting how he escaped that cultural phenomenon, because he would have been right, you know, in the wheelhouse of being about 8 or 9 years old when the first one came out. But he's not a big. He likes Trek. He says he likes original Star Trek.
I do not.
But he's not into that. And then we went down a list of some 80s music, and it was interesting, some of the stuff that he just not interested. You know, just albums I think are seminal 80s albums. For instance, Paul Simon's Graceland.
Yes.
Joshua Tree by U2.
Of course.
And Synchronicity by The Police.
But again, you're still naming the pop side of rock, and he was very much against that, I think. I mean,
yeah, well, I mean, Mully likes his heavy metal. I mean, he's definitely Motley Crue, AC/DC, Van Halen, you know, all that stuff. So that's fine. It was an interesting.
Van Halen jumped over to the pop, but you know, let's not tell him that. He might not talk to me anymore. I like Mully. He's a crazy dude, but I like him.
What was some of your favorite groups when you were in junior high, high school?
Oh, I was much more pop than even you guys. Rick Springfield. Yeah,
who was in? Oh my God! Really fast. True Detective.
Yes, I saw the little blurb, but I avoided the.
You won't even frickin' recognize him when he comes on. I was like, who is that? And then this credits, and I'm like, that was Rick Springfield. Anyway, okay, go on.
I'm trying to think who else. It's been so long.
Well, I mean, were you in MTV? Were you like Duran Duran, Culture Club?
Oh, Culture Club less so. For possibly obvious reasons, I was avoiding anything that was gender bending. Duran Duran, although arguably so were they. But I really love Duran Duran and MTV. Those first few years. Yeah. When it was really music. And yeah, no, that was my.
I just watched a wonderful documentary about a British band that I really liked. I mean, they had some popularity in America. They were called Spandau Ballet.
Yes, I know them. Yeah.
And they really, you know, it was a very interesting documentary because it's like, you know, they were very, very, very famous in Britain.
Yes.
And, you know, as they came up and some of the bands, and they had kind of similar to the Blur Oasis feud that happened in the 95, 96 with Britpop, they had a feud with Duran Duran. Like,
yes.
who's the better boy band, even though they could all play instruments. I mean, it's not even anything like nowadays with one.
It's not a very good comparison, but I do know what you mean.
And you know, the whole thing with them and fashion and how they were trying to be like, you know, an artistic, and it was just
new wave. Yeah. Remember that new wave stuff?
Tony Hadley, their lead singer, has such an incredible voice. I've always enjoyed their music, but yeah, it's interesting, you know, when you live in different parts of the country, what, you know, movies or music or something you might get into. I know, for instance, I moved back to California when I was a junior in high school, and I rediscovered Oingo Boingo, who were
I loved Oingo Boingo.
So huge in Southern California, and you know, they did an annual Halloween show, and I got to go with a bunch of friends when I was a senior in high school. One of the best concerts I've ever been to, and you know, it's a shame now that Danny won't, you know, tour with them because, you know, he doesn't want to lose what little hearing he has left because of his orchestration work.
Well, his soundtrack stuff is amazing, from the original Batman. Well, the what do you call the Tim? Oh, what's his name? Tim
Burton.
Yeah, Tim Burton Batman's. Everything he did since then has just been. I really love his soundtracks.
Yeah. I
loved Oingo Boingo back in the day. Yeah, that was my edge.
They were very regional, you know. I don't know that they were so popular in other parts. I mean, they had their hits, but that was definitely a Southern California band. And so, yeah, it's interesting to see who people really garnered. Now, we also talked about the top movies of the 80s. And, you know, for me, it would be The Empire Strikes Back, and then things like Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Say Anything, and this Rolling Stone poll, the #1 movie was The Breakfast Club. And I love The Breakfast. I mean, I love John Hughes movies,
sure.
But I don't know that I would pick that as my #1 movie for the entire decade.
Yeah, I have problems with The Breakfast Club, the subtle homophobia of it all. But I have to be honest that growing up, that was a very big movie for me. And, you know, all of his movies, but particularly The Breakfast Club, I would say, yeah, for me, though, you know, Star Wars, clearly.
Yeah.
Back to the Future, less so, but yeah, that was there. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that. There were so many that really seemed to kind of shape the way I saw things. But I have to say Star Wars more than anything, just because that changed.
Aliens, Amadeus. Yes. I mean, so many good movies in the 80s. So.
And what I liked about like Empire was that's the first and arguably one of the only times where the sequel was 1,000 times better than the original.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm definitely in that camp. Okay, we should take I tried to get off by 11 for Hiko's show. So let's take the last few questions here from the Peanut Gallery.
This is
we've
fun.
got PJ. What is she asking? Have you had the Whisky Monkey Shoulder?
Yes.
Okay, you guys both know what that is. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I've had the 12-year and the no age statement, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
I liked it, both of them.
Okay, so there you go. It's a thumbs up from our resident expert. Let's keep going down.
Alcoholic.
Robert is quoting lines from True by Spandau Ballet.
That's a great song.
Kevin is saying Danny Elfman was an Oingo Boingo. I don't know if he's surprised or just, I don't know.
How dare you not know that?
Top Gun. They're actually going to remake Top Gun. Have you heard that?
I heard about that. It's going to be about drones.
Now, I did see the preview. I was a big Rocky fan growing up. They're going to they're not going to remake. They're going to make a movie called Creed. And it's going to be about Apollo Creed's son, and Stallone's only going to be in it like in the, you know, mentor role. And that actually sounds good. The preview's pretty good.
What did you see the thing about Terminator Genesis? I haven't. The critics are panning it. It's
I'm still gonna go see it next weekend.
Well, so am I. Once the semester's over, I'll see it anyway. But I have more hope for the Creed thing than I do for Terminator.
Yeah, I think the one I'm looking forward to that's sort of like on that bandwagon is Jurassic World. I think that one will be fun.
I don't know. I just all the critiques about the sexism, and I'm really big about having strong women. I do not like. I'll watch it because whatever. But we'll have to debate it then because until you see it, who knows?
So did you see Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes, and I hated it.
Really? What was not your cup of tea in that?
It wasn't funny. It wasn't serious. Other than to me, the only kind of sci-fi I like is dark sci-fi. I only believe in one possible future, and it's bad.
Okay.
I just never got into the whole comic book side of, of that. And I am not critiquing it for what it was, but everyone thought it was this great piece of pop art, and when I watched it, I kept saying, "Really?"
So you definitely don't want to go see a movie I saw about a month ago, and it's called Tomorrowland.
No, I do not want to see it. I've really read the reviews, and I'll skip it.
Yeah. Don't waste your money. Okay, well that's about it. I thank you so much for coming on. It was nice to have someone to chat with. I really had no idea in my brain for what I was going to talk about this week, so.
So I'd like to know that I'm your last option available out there.
No, not at all, sir. But I do hope to make it out to Osaka. I'm going to Nagoya to see sumo in a few weeks. But I do hope I can make it out to Osaka soon. I have a friend out there who keeps asking me to come out to go to Harry Potter World.
You'd love it.
Which I haven't been to USJ in probably like 6 years, so I should go back and see it all. Have you gone and seen all that?
No, I went to USJ the first week it opened, and I've never been back. I don't like theme parks. I don't like controlled happiness.
Okay.
I know I have issues. My therapist talks to me regularly about that.
Dystopian. I don't like controlled happiness. Okay.
But I've enjoyed this. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. Go to Kansai's channel, PJ's channel, if you want to see videos about skating.
Yes, there's skating and a little bit of whiskey and geocaching, but it's 98% skating.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. And then I hit